Welcome to Knowledge Well Media. The information provided on this platform does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available on this platform are for general information purposes only. Information on this platform may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. This platform contains links to other third-party platforms and sites. Such links are only for the convenience of the reader, user, or browser. Knowledge Well Media, its subsidiaries, and its members do not recommend or endorse the contents of the third-party platforms. Users of this platform should contact their attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal matter. No party, user, or browser of this platform should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this platform without first seeking legal advice from counsel in the relevant jurisdiction. Only your individual attorney can provide assurances that the information contained herein and your interpretation of it is applicable or appropriate to your particular situation. Use of and access to this platform or any of the links or resources contained within this platform do not create an attorney-client relationship between the reader, user, or browser and platform authors, contributors, contributing law firms, or associative members and their respective employers. The views expressed at or through this platform are those of the presenting host in their representative capacity only, not those of the individual private man or woman who is separate and distinct. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this platform is hereby expressly disclaimed. The content in this session is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. Your participation hereafter constitutes your voluntary and intentional consent to and understanding of this disclaimer and notice. If interested, you may obtain a video copy of this session. The minimum donation to do so is $25. Simply submit your video request to knowledgewell4u@gmail.com. State the date and time of the desired session, and submit the minimum donation $25 to our Cash App. That's $, capital A for American, capital C for Consulate. The turnaround time is usually 24 hours. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Start your journey today by liking, subscribing, and sharing our YouTube channel, Knowledge Well Media, or by going to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site and perusing over the available content and information. Also by submitting your email at the bottom of the Square site page in the Stay in the Loop section to receive priority information, specials, and other insider details. Or by signing up for a 1-hour consultation to tailor your specific educational needs in beginning your journey. You may do so at the aforementioned Square site, once again at knowledgewell-media.square.site. All right, welcome. Glad you are all here. Come on in. Trying to give people plenty of time to get on in here. This is our Q&A session, our pro bono service. I like to give back. And so this is your time. Whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. If you want me to deliberate or lecture on a particular topic, make sure you let me know what that is. I'm looking at the comments section. Welcome, come on in. And I don't know where my intro went. My intro disappeared somewhere, but that's all right. Things are known to go wrong once the lights come on, right? You can start going. But I am here. Happy December the 6th, 2021. And I'll take you to the whiteboard or we can talk over. I really have been most of the day working on revamping the trust. I learned some new things that can definitely help in preserving your wealth and your assets and things like that. There's different strategies that can be used for tax avoidance strategies and all kinds of different things. Now, some people are saying like, well, why do I need a trust? Like I don't have that many assets and, I don't really have anything substantial, maybe not even a house, like I might rent or something like that. But that just lets you know that this type of information has not been shared with us holistically because it's a strategy, okay? It's a way, it's a lifestyle. It's all about preserving your wealth. And wealth, it could be your health. It could be a service that you provide. whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever it is. Some people have maybe in their teenage years dibbed and dabbed in like selling marijuana and things like that. You're just a natural born sales individual, basically. You know what I'm saying? So you just need to transfer those skills over and learn how to apply those. And hopefully we can help out there. But the trust is, again, it's a lifestyle. Okay. And essentially what you spend should be coming right back into you. There should be a circulation. You should be creating your own economy. You know, whatever you spend should be coming back. And those are principles you can learn by trust. Okay. So anyways, let me go to the comment section. I'm watching for anybody have a topic they want to discuss this evening. I'm open and willing to do so. But I would need you to let me know what it is you want to talk about. Give people a couple more minutes to get on in here. We'll be right back.
Here are a few other items in demand on our Square site. The Person Defined series, a 9-part video lecture series, comprehensively outlining the scheme to artfully deceive mankind into trading away his birthright, his natural liberties, and inherent rights. Pre-orders for The Yellow Bricks of Emerald, the first edition, offered presently as an ebook only. This book comprehensively uncovers the legal schemes, past, present, and future, of the elite powers and the U.S., subjecting American citizens to servitude and allegiance due to their own ignorance. The Knowledge Well Video Lecture Series Trust Course, a comprehensive lecture series educating on the history, effects, and administration of the wealth-preserving, asset-protecting, private commercial entity known as a trust. Plus, we have our very own template and instructions to help you set up yours. And, coming soon, our apparel and product store for all things Knowledge Well, including shirts, hats, jackets, cups, bumper stickers, and more. For all this and much, much more, as well as for any questions or comments, email to knowledgewell4u@gmail.com or go to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site. And now, you've been made free. What are you going to do with it?
All right. Again, happy December the 6th of 2021. And yeah, so hopefully you had a great day today. Hopefully it was productive, and you got a lot accomplished. All right. And hopefully you're in good health. I hope so. And so, I mean, I can rant or I can go to the comment section here. Let's see if nobody's talking yet. I'm here for you. Whatever topic, whatever question that you have, this is your opportunity and your time to do so. Otherwise, we just won't be on long tonight at all. But what I had been going over today, let me look here one moment. I wanted to go over a little bit of the due process clause. I found some interesting things, things that we should probably pay attention to. Let me see if I can share my screen here and get this correct. All right, let's try this out. Share screen. We'll do that one. I think that's the right one. All right. One moment. All right. I think we got it. All right. Let me zoom in so I can make sure that you can see. Is that too much here? Let me get this out of the way. And I think you should be able to see that now. All right. So due process clause. Most of you know the 14th Amendment. Sorry about the pop-ups, by the way, but 14th Amendment talks about due process. Let me see if I got it up here. Due process law right here. And this is Britannica. Okay, so due process, a course of legal proceedings, okay, according to rules and principles that have been established in a system. Can you ask yourself a question? What system are they talking about? Okay, you know how I do. When I do research and study, I like to do forensic study. Okay, so I break down every little thing. That's how I get a fuller understanding. All right, so hopefully I can pass that along to you when you're doing your research and studying. Let me know that you can hear me clear. If the audio and video quality is good, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're hitting that like button as you come in. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever you prefer. All right, so anyways, due process. We're talking about a course of legal proceedings, and most of you that have been around for any amount of time, you know that I like to make the distinction between that which is legal and that which is lawful. They are not one and the same. They are distinguished, and there is a bar in between the two, and that bar is protected, if you will, by, of course, the bar keepers, the bar members, okay? Because you should not be transgressing or trespassing one from the other, all right, especially without knowledge, all right? People are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, all right, because you lack the know-how and the understanding, okay? And obviously you can't exercise wisdom if you don't have understanding. Then you may find yourself trespassing on someone else's territory or what have you, all right? So this is, again, due process has to do with a course of legal proceedings. So this is a right away in that opposite sphere, okay? You already know this is now going into the jural sphere, which was all legalities, artificial entities, persons in law, and what have you. All over on that side, positive law, statutes, codes, ordinances of the legislature, and what have you, okay? Has nothing to do with natural law. Let's go. Okay, so due process, a course of legal proceedings according to rules, see? Rules, not laws, and principles, right? Principles, basically ideologies of man, right? Come up with a principle, a concept, a fable, right? A myth, a mythology, mythological, type of thing. All right, so principles that have been established, all right? So remember, I showed you in the U.S. House of Representatives in their code where it talked about that natural law is pre-existing law, okay? And you ask yourself a question, pre-existing to what, right? Well, pre-existing to every other law, every other rule, okay? So you can clearly see right here that this has been established in a system, as it's saying right here. So that's not natural law. So what I'm doing is through forensic study, I'm building a case, okay? So it's very hard for individuals to debate, against my teaching style, because what I do is I build it by a preponderance of the evidence, okay? So as a result, there's not really much to debate, right? I mean, if you can see it. And that's why, I pride myself in what I do and the way I study. All right, so with that being said, we know it's a system. We know that system is is a legal system because it's a legal proceeding. We know that it is not natural law because this has been established as distinguished from natural law, which is pre-existing, which is natural law, which is not man-made, right? And we know that it has to do with rules and principles, which are again man-made ideologies and things, concepts, if you will. All right, in a system of jurisprudence, right? For the enforcement. So this is why they created it. This is why it exists. They're about to tell you. For the enforcement and protection of private rights. Okay, so it's a man-made concoction, construction, principles that are new, not natural law, that they have instituted for the protection of private rights. Okay, if I can sum it all up for where we're at right now. Okay, moving on. In each case, due process, we are discussing the due process clause, okay? 14th Amendment. Due process contemplates an exercise of the powers of government, okay? Remember, government derived its just powers from the consent of the governed, okay? So therefore, as long as the roles aren't flipped, you see who's in control or who should be in control, right? All right, so again, it says due process contemplates an exercise of the powers of government as the law permits. Remember when I told you and showed you many times now the distinction between what is legal and what is lawful. When you look up legal, especially in the Black's Law 5th edition, you'll see that it says that legal is permitted by law. So again, I'm giving you the preponderance of evidence, building a case for the distinction between what is law and what is legal. They are not one and the same. So this right here, due process, is actually in accordance with what law permits and sanctions. See it here? Okay, under recognized safeguards. Hopefully you're taking notes on this, or if you're not, you can also get this video, okay, for a donation. But these are the types of things. This is those foundational issues that you cannot necessarily overlook, okay? Because as you're trying to build your affidavits and things like that, you got to come in there with some substantive right or issues that you can articulate and show them, okay, in your documentation and what have you. You can't just come in there with a emotional argument. They're not going to hear you, okay? But when it comes down to certain safeguards and the Constitution that they've sworn on oath to uphold and whatever, if you can come with this type of stuff, with this type of forensic study, and you can lay it out like this, how are they really going to argue, right? All right, so check it out. All right, so under recognized safeguards, okay, for the protection of individual rights, principally associated with one of the fundamental guarantees of the United States Constitution, all right? Principally, remember up here it said rules and principles, all right? So it's principally, by the principles, it's associated with one of the fundamental guarantees of the United States Constitution. Due process derives from early English common law and constitutional history. All right, the first concrete expression of the due process idea embraced by Anglo-American law appeared in, and you can go on from here. So I just wanted to touch on this, the 14th Amendment, the due process clause, okay? And, because, we've talked about whether or not this has to do with that new citizen, that new creation of a new citizen. Let's go down this path one moment, okay? I just want to show you something, and I probably have shown you before, but let's go to the whiteboard and just take a look at this, all right? Hopefully you can see this. Hopefully you can see this. All right, let me see. All right, so under recognized. Okay. What was that? Okay. Okay, here, let's just go. All right. So there's several dates that you should really pay attention to, okay? You may have heard me talk about them before, but I'll draw them out here, and you should really, can you see? I got to switch it. One moment. All right. So there's at least two, but probably several dates that you should really pay attention to in your research and study. Okay. And they just have to be paid attention to. Okay. So there's 1865, I believe it is, 1868. And I want to say there's one more. Let me look. One moment. I'm going to show you something here. So you got between 1775 and 1783. Is that right? Nope. I'm looking for the Civil War. That's what I'm looking for. Anybody know the dates? I'll have it up here. Hold on. All right. So Civil War, 1861 through 1865. Okay. I'm going to show you something here, and I'm going to lecture a little bit on it, and I definitely want you to look into it a little bit deeper, okay? So there's the Civil War. Let me know if you can see this. Nobody has let me know anything yet. Boss Dub is here. Okay, very good. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you at least letting me know you're here. Make sure you're hitting the like button as you come on in. Welcome back. And then you have 1865. What happened here? This is 13th Amendment. I always forget whether there's two M's. And then you have 1868. Guess what's here? Obviously, the 14th Amendment. Can y'all see that writing? I'll get another marker if you can't see it. Let me know. I probably spelled amendment wrong. I can look at it. One moment. This is very significant. Yep, I did spell it wrong. All right, so it's one M there. Now, another thing I'm going to give you some things here that you really need to look into. Bear with me. I'm going to show you something here. Just bear with me. Hopefully they give me the date here. I'm looking for the date. Okay, Abraham, a black Seminole leader in the Second Seminal War. All right, then I want you to also take a look at 1835. 1835 to 1842. This is known as the Black Seminal War or the Seminal Wars. You didn't learn about this most likely. In fact, we should go over this a little bit because it's going to have everything to do with this chronological order here and hopefully be very revealing to you about a few things that are being obfuscated from the history. The Seminal War. Now, I'll just give you a little rundown, okay? This is, just take this for what it's worth, okay? This is 1835 to 1842. So the Seminole War, I contend, and I'm going to be doing a lecture on it, and I don't know if anybody else has yet. But what had happened was the slaves, prior to the freeing of the slaves, the alleged freeing of the slaves, right? 13th Amendment supposedly abolished slavery, right? I don't know if you guys can see this. Nobody's telling me, but can you see that? Abolished slavery. Okay. So prior to that, in 1835 to 1842, there was this Black Seminole War, aka they also call it the Gullah Wars, okay, where allegedly these mighty warriors were basically tearing up stuff, okay, escaped slaves and whatever. They marshaled and got together and started taking over and started killing slave masters and taking property and all that kind of stuff, right? They had enough of slavery, and that's what ended up happening, okay? We should read a little bit. I might read a little bit of it. Then just follow me on this order, okay? Briefly. I'm not going too deep in, but just go with me on this. Then all of a sudden, you know what? I think I got that wrong. Is that 1861? Oh, also, the Dred Scott case. Follow this, y'all. Y'all gonna love this, I think. You might love it. If you love history and you're looking for truth, you'll love it. Let me see here. Where are we at? I just need the case. Okay, so that was 1857. Look at the chronological order of everything I'm putting up here, y'all. So in between the Seminole War, where the slaves revolted and started fighting back, then you had in 1857, oh man, these markers. 1857, so that's right in between here. You had the Dred Scott. Let me see if I can get a darker marker here. I got brown. We'll see how that works. Oh, that's nice. So 1857, you got Dred Scott. Does anybody know what happened in Dred Scott? What happened with that situation? Boss, okay, you there. You know about the Florida Seminoles. Excellent. Very good. Nobody else is talking to me tonight, huh? All right. So look, you got 1835 to 1842, the Seminal War, the revolt of slaves, allegedly, okay? In fact, let's do that. Since we're here together, let's do this forensic study together. How about that? How about we just work together on this? Let's do that. How do I get that up there? Let's see. All right, here you go. One moment. See if I can get this right. Supposed to. Where are you? It's not giving me the way I want it here. Can y'all see that? Probably not, huh? I don't know why it's not working. There. That's what I'm trying to do. Come on now. Give me a hard time. All right. So here it is. You can see it? Hopefully you can see it. It says the Gullah. Remember, the Black Seminoles, right? Rice slavery and Sierra Leone, okay? American connection, all right? I think this is what I'm looking for. Let's take a look. It says Black Seminoles, Gullahs, who escaped from slavery. The Black Seminoles are of a small offshoot of the Gullah who escaped from the rice plantations in South Carolina and Georgia. They built, listen, their own settlements on the Florida frontier. They fought a series of wars to preserve their freedom. Could you imagine? They were fighting wars. These people were fighting wars. Look, all right? And were scattered across North America, okay? They have played a significant role in American history, but have never received the recognition they deserve, all right? Some Gullah slaves managed to escape from coastal South Carolina and Georgia south into the Florida Peninsula. In the 18th century, Florida was a vast tropical wilderness covered with jungles and malaria-ridden swamps. Yeah, sure. The Spanish claimed Florida, but they used it only as a buffer between the British colonies and their own settled territories farther south. They wanted to keep Florida as a dangerous wilderness frontier, so they offered a refuge to escaped slaves and renegade Indians from neighboring South Carolina and Georgia. The Gullahs were establishing their own free settlements in the Florida wilderness by at least the late 1700s. They built separate villages of thatched roof houses surrounded by fields of corn and swamp rice, and they maintained friendly relations with the mixed population of refugee Indians. And some people say that that is wholly false as far, you know, about the refugee Indians and what have you. Okay, that this was just Seminole and you know what they call African Americans, some tribe, you know, different tribes of African Americans, or what they call African Americans. But we're not going to go into that. Okay. In time, the two groups came to view themselves as parts of the same loosely organized tribe, see, in which blacks held important positions of leadership. The Gullahs adopted Indian clothing, while the Indians acquired a taste for rice and appreciation for Gullah music and folklore. So they're trying to merge the what today they call the Native Americans, okay, and they're trying to say that basically we came together and yeah, but anyways, but the Gullahs were physically more suited to the tropical climate and possessed an indispensable knowledge of tropical agriculture. And without their assistance, the Indians would not have been able to cope effectively with the Florida environment. The two groups led an independent life in the wilderness of northern Florida, rearing several generations of children in freedom, and they recognized the American settlers and slave owners as their common enemy. The Americans called the Florida Indians Seminoles, okay, from the Spanish word cimarron, I think that is, meaning wild or untamed, and they called the runaway Gullahs Seminole Negroes or Indian Negroes. Modern historians have called these free Gullah frontiersmen the Black Seminoles. See how they're, yeah. The Seminole settlements in Spanish Florida increased as more and more runaway slaves and renegade Indians escaped south. And conflict with the Americans was, sooner or later, inevitable. There were skirmishes in 1812, the War of 1812. You ever heard of that? In 1816. In 1818, General Andrew Jackson led an American army into Florida to claim it for the United States. And war finally erupted. The blacks and Indians fought side by side in a desperate struggle to stop the American advance, but they were defeated and driven south into the more remote wilderness of central and southern Florida. General Jackson, later president, referred to this first Seminole War as an Indian and Negro War. Okay, and there's a whole lot of controversy, all right, about that. So in 1835, the second Seminole War broke out. Okay, so now 1835. So here's 1835 to 1842. That's supposedly and allegedly the second. So there was one even before that. Okay, and this full-scale guerrilla war would last for 6 years. 6 years, as the history says it, and claimed the lives of 1,500 American soldiers. All right, the Black Seminoles waged the fiercest resistance as they feared that capture or surrender meant death or return to slavery. Right. Not because they were great fighters, but they fought so tough because they were afraid to be murdered, you know. Yeah, okay. And they were adept at living and fighting in the jungles than their Indian comrades. The American commander, General Jessup, informed the War Department that this, you may be assured, is a Negro and not an Indian war. See that? The truth comes out. And a U.S. congressman of the period commented that these black fighters, not Indian, the black fighters, all right, were contending against the whole military power of the United States. You didn't learn about that, did you? Huh? They didn't teach you that. Huh? They didn't teach you that. You're looking at it for yourself. All right. So in other words, these black fighters, these Seminole Indians, these Gullah, it says, all right, were contending against the whole military power of the United States. That's some power. How is that even possible, right? All right, so when the Army finally captured the Black Seminoles, officers refused to return them to slavery. Wonder why? When the Army, fearing that these seasoned warriors, accustomed to their freedom, would wreak havoc on the southern plantations. In 1842, the Army forcibly removed them, along with their Indian comrades, to Indian territory, now what they're calling Oklahoma, in the unsettled West. So they didn't want to put them back into slavery, they're saying. No, because they're pretty powerful and, you know, they might take us all over. Don't put them back into slavery. Does that make sense? Let's keep going. This is going to get good. You're doing study with me right now. I've never read this, so we're reading this together, but this is going to be significant, I assure you. But let me see. What did I forget? I forgot something, but that's okay. All right. So watch these timelines. They're going to be very significant here shortly. Okay. So again, when the Army finally captured, so now there was the Second War, and these black Negro fighters were so fierce that they were contending with the whole entire United States military. Okay. But then they got captured, right? And look what they say. They feared that these seasoned warriors accustomed to their freedom, okay, would wreak havoc on the southern plantations. What were the southern plantations about? Right? What were the southern plantations? Remember, if you've gone back into some of the archives and some of the videos I've done, I've kind of given mostly historical record, but some conjecture on the on what I deem as fact, that the whole purpose of coming over here in this, what I call a grand experiment, was to set up these plantations, right? And to basically create cash crops like tobacco and soybean and cotton and things like that, and ship that back to, it was planted here, use this as an industrial plantation type, and then use the slaves to harvest it, and then ship it back to Great Britain. Great Britain would take it, break it down, and create, manufacture products, and then sell those worldwide, okay, for a significant amount more than what the raw material costs, right? And so what they did was essentially they lured everybody from different countries. I don't care if you're from Italy, I don't care where you're from, Dutch, French, whatever. They lured you here, said, hey, we could put you to work and there's plenty of opportunity here, right? But you are not a benefactor, okay, of the founding fathers' documents and Constitution. And I'm going to prove that to you in a little bit, that with this case right here. Okay? Nobody but the founding fathers' offspring or progeny were to be benefactors of the Constitution that they originally wrote, those founding fathers signed. Okay? I'm going to show you. But let me not get too far off track. I'm looking at the comment section. If you got any comments, let's see right here. All right, Boss Up says, I love my ancestors. I always knew they fought back. All the time. All the time. All right, so moving on. All right, it says so they captured them, and they said that, hey, we don't want them to tear up the plantations. Why? Because the plantation is where all the raw materials came from that they shipped back to Great Britain to basically seed the world and make plenty of profits, okay? With the merchants trade and the Admiralty, Maritime, and all that kind of stuff, okay? It was all the trade, right? Import versus export and all that kind of stuff. So if these Black Seminoles were wreaking havoc, and then they wreaked havoc on those southern plantations and essentially stole the crop, shut down the plantation, guess what? All commerce grinds to a halt. I'm going to show you why that's important in a minute. All right. So we're at 1835, 1842. In 1842, it says then, because they figured we cannot contain them, we cannot control them, and we don't want to release them because they're going to make our commerce grind to a halt. So since we can't do any of that, in 1842, it says the army forcibly removed them. And then supposedly went and got the Indians too and said, you got to go too. You and you, out, get out, right? So look, they kicked them out to where? What they call now Oklahoma, okay? Allegedly, in the unsettled West. The Black Seminoles, exiled from their Florida stronghold, so supposedly and allegedly displaced, right, were forced to continue their struggle for freedom on the Western frontier. Now, why would they be struggling for their freedom if, as they said up here, they were accustomed to their freedom? See, the story's not making sense. Right here, it says, right here, accustomed to their freedom. So why are they struggling for freedom here on the Western frontier? But anyways, I digress. In Oklahoma, the government put them under the authority of the Creek Indians. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's use some what I call rational analysis. If this people, okay, and remember, it says that they captured the Black Seminoles and then went back and told the Indians, you got to go with them. So they were wreaking so much havoc, it said that they were even more more powerful than the whole military of the United States. So now you're telling me that they went in Oklahoma here and the government put them under the authority of the Creek Indians? So you're telling me that the Creek Indians were more powerful than the U.S. military? No, that does not rationally make any sense. So follow the logic here. Follow the reason and logic. Okay. So, but we'll go with it. Slave owners who tried to curb their freedom. So the Creek Indians were supposedly trying to curb the freedom of the Black Seminoles and the Indians. Look, and it says white slave traders came at night to kidnap their women and children. I don't know about you, but there's something wrong with this picture. If these people, these Gullah, these Seminoles, these Black Seminoles were that powerful, that they were more powerful than the United States military, how in the heck are these people in little old Oklahoma stealing and kidnapping their women and children, and they're being enslaved supposedly by Creek Indians? Does not make sense. Does not translate. All right. So look, okay, moving forward, it says in 1850, look, a group of Black Seminoles and Seminole Indians escaped south across Texas to the desert badlands of northern Mexico. They established a free settlement and, as in Florida, began to attract runaway slaves from across the border. So they're saying, you know, come join us. You don't have to be a slave anymore, or what have you. We're powerful over here. Join us, right? Okay, so let me make sure I'm on my timeline. So here we go. In 1855, a heavily armed band of Texas Rangers rode into Mexico to destroy the Seminole settlement. So here comes the Texas Rangers, right? But the Blacks and Indians stopped them and forced them back into the U.S. They never told us this story, did they? They didn't tell us how powerful these Black slaves, or they weren't slaves, but you see what I'm saying? These Black so-called Seminole Indians or Seminoles or Gullahs, they never told us how powerful this was, that all this havoc was being wreaked earlier actually, in the 1700s, but right now we're at the Second Seminal War, 1835 to 1842. We were never told this. I'm gonna tell you why. You're gonna learn a significant truth here. Watch this. The U.S. Okay, so the Indians soon returned to Oklahoma, but the Black Seminoles remained in Mexico. Now, how did they do that against the Texas Rangers? They're supposedly, you know, being subjected to another slave system by the Oklahoma government. But yet, they stayed. The Indians supposedly went back to Oklahoma, but they stayed fighting. Look, let's keep going. Fighting constantly to protect their settlement from the marauding Comanche and Apache Indians. So you mean to tell me the Black Indians or Black Seminoles, the Gullahs, are warring against not only the Texas Rangers, not only the United States military, not only the government of Oklahoma, but now the Apache and the Comanche Indians? You telling me these were weak people? Hey, Wolf, glad you're here. Glad you can make it. Thank you. We're doing a significant history here that is gone untold. It's gone untold. All right. Now, before we go into this next part in 1870, watch how this works. Watch how this works. Very significant. Now, we know the First Seminal War. Oh, let me go back to the board here. One moment. All right. So we know the First Seminal War happened. Then the second, 1835 to 1842, they're wreaking havoc. They're whooping on the United States military and everything. They doing it, right? Then, look, it says that they finally got a stronghold somewhere in Oklahoma, and now Comanche, Apache, Indians, everybody's coming at them. Oklahoma government, all that kind of stuff. The Texas Rangers, everybody's coming at them, right? Look at what's happening around the same time. Watch this. Let me make sure I'm correct here. Because where do we leave off? In 1855, a heavily armored band of Texas Rangers rode into Mexico to destroy the Seminole settlement. But the Blacks and Indians stopped them and forced them back. Watch this. We're at 1855 into the U.S., forced them into the U.S. Right. So now Watch this. The Indians left the Black Seminoles, okay? But the Black Seminoles remained in Mexico by themselves, fighting against all of these, right? All right, now check this out. So let's stay right there. We're at 1855. Now look, in 1857, just 2 years after this alleged event, right? They're standing strong, you know, taking on everybody. Dred Scott comes along. The Dred Scott case comes along. And isn't that just like present day, right? There's always a distraction, right? Government always got something for us to throw us off from our focus because they're kicking butt. It's obvious. They're admitting it here. The Black Seminoles are kicking butt. They're kicking butt and taking names, as they say. And the Texas Ranger, nobody is messing with them. The United States military, they exiled them, say, get out of here. Please, just leave our plantations alone. Otherwise, you're going to destroy commerce and our grand experiment. Please, just go away. We'll give you your own space. When they got there, Oklahoma government started in on them. And now we got the Texas Rangers coming. And now they're standing by themselves because the Indians done left them. Watch this. Here comes Dred Scott. Let's take a look at Dred Scott. Watch this. Watch this. This is going to get good, y'all. This is like a fine steak. Watch this. Which one y'all want to do? Dred Scott decision. We can do this one. Let's do, well, we could do Cornell. Why not? Let's do Cornell. Y'all know Cornell, so we'll do Cornell. Use something kind of reputable. Hopefully, if you cannot see it, please let me know so that I can make sure you can see this, okay? All right, go into the comment section. Wolf, did the Comanche and Apache Indians have contracts with the U.S.? I wouldn't doubt it. That's a good observation. You know what I'm saying? We can look into that. But that's a good observation, Wolf. Appreciate that. All right, so let's get back. Let's get back to the study. This is good. Let me know if it's good. Give me a thumbs up or something if this is interesting to you. Let's look at the Dred Scott case for a moment. Let me show you what happens. What happens? I was actually sharing this with a friend of mine, and he's like, well, how can you? Well, I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go there right now. Just wait. Just wait. I'll tell you in a moment. I'm trying to make this so you can see it. Let me know if you can see it, please. All right, so here we go. Dred Scott, see the date, 1857. So I'm correct here. We're correct here. All right. Oh, you can't see the board anyways. Let me go back. Let me go like here. Okay. All right, so 1857. All right. So it says the U.S. Supreme Court decision in which the court ruled that, look, African Americans, whether enslaved or free, were not citizens of the United States. Can you imagine this happening at the same time that the Seminole, the Gullahs, the Black Seminoles are whooping up and down the United States, like the military and everybody? Can you imagine this is happening or happens thereafter? 1855, we went up to 1855, now it's 1857. Can you imagine? Watch this. We're not citizens of the United States and therefore did not have the right to sue in a federal court. In so holding, the court also ruled that the federal government could not prohibit slavery in the territories. The decision was a prime factor leading to the Civil War. When was the Civil War? 1861 to 1865. They said that the decision here, 1857, 4 years before the Civil War broke out, was a major, was a prime factor leading to the Civil War. But let me ask you a question. You don't think that the Seminal War, all the way we're right now at the 1855, you don't think that was the prime factor or a prime factor of the Civil War? You don't think that these Seminoles who are whooping up and down the United States military in combination with the Dred Scott case, you don't think that they were coming to help Dred Scott? That they were coming like, y'all gonna do right? Where did this case take place? We're gonna learn. Just you picking up what I'm putting down? Watch this. Look, the decision was a prime factor leading to but the 14th Amendment, which provides that anyone born or naturalized in the United States is a citizen of the nation and of his or her state, eventually rendered the case moot. Don't fall for the okie doke. I'm gonna tell you why. Remember, the 14th Amendment is here in 1868. Okay, watch this. It says Dred Scott was, I almost don't want to do, because this is written by basically legal professionals. I want to get the raw history, but if this does not do justice, I will get the raw stuff. But anyways, Dred Scott was an African American who was born a slave in the late 1700s. In 1832, right? So that was in between the first and second Seminal War, the Black Seminole, the Gullah War. Watch this. In 1832, Scott's owner Emerson took him into where? Wisconsin territory, which outlawed slavery. Okay? To do various tasks. While there, Emerson allowed Scott to get married and left Scott and his wife in Wisconsin when Emerson traveled to Louisiana. Emerson died in 1843, and Dred Scott, attempted to purchase his freedom from Emerson's widow, but she refused. So Scott then sued in federal court, which he should have done, against Sanford, okay, the executor of Emerson's estate for his freedom, okay? He argued that since he became a permanent resident in the federal territory of Wisconsin, which prohibited slavery, he became a free man. All right? The district court applied the laws of Missouri to find Scott was still a slave, and the Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed. Okay? The Supreme Court, in a contentious opinion written by Chief Justice Taney, held that persons of African descent were not citizens of the United States. Now, again, can you imagine this going on while all of these quote unquote Africans are killing the whole countryside, including the U.S. military? Now, do you think that they being the Black Seminoles, the Gullahs, were claiming to be Americans or United States citizens? I doubt it. Watch this. So, but anyone of African descent were persons of African descent were brought to the U.S. as property, res, right? Property. Okay. I forgot this part here. The court reasoned that at the time of the ratification of the U.S. Constitution, so listen to me, not to cause any race riots or strife or anything like that. I don't believe in doing that. All that division, I think it's all a distraction. But we got to look at the facts, okay? At the time of the ratification of the U.S. Constitution, you heard me say that the Constitution and its amendments did not apply, and you see them say it, to African Americans. It did not apply to a lot of people that came over here. It was only intended for those who came under the founding fathers, their progeny, their offspring, and what have you. That's what it was intended for. All right? Now, very good. Yep, you're absolutely correct. Res, thing of value, chattel. That's what anybody who was not a party to that U.S. Constitution, the signing and what have you, you were considered res. I don't care. It ain't necessarily just about African American. It's about anybody that came over here that were not recognized as U.S. As party to the U.S. Constitution. Mark my words. Now watch this. Even though many states granted citizenship to African Americans, the court distinguished, look, here is remedy. See and hear me. Okay, here is remedy. Look what's going on here. Even though many states granted citizenship to African Americans, the court distinguished state citizenship from federal citizenship. Now, let me just hit you over the head with this. Do you now know why or wonder why they are about to federalize your ID, the real ID? Is because maybe they're trying to get rid of the distinction between state citizenship and federal citizenship. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, here we go. And found the latter, which is federal citizenship, precluded to African Americans because of whom the court believed the founders meant to include in the original Constitution. I just told you that. The Constitution was not for you. Being African American, being from the old country, old world countries, I don't care if you were Italian, whatever you were. If you were not party to that Constitution, buddy, aristocracy, or whatever you want to say, title of nobility or what have you, and buddy, going to the parties with the founding fathers and one of their children or their auntie, uncles and all that, you weren't a party to the Constitution. You came over here for a different purpose. Your family came over here working. And like I said in my other video, you may have seen the video, the pictures. I got them around here somewhere of like a bunch of Italian guys sitting up on the high skyscraper beam as they're building. They're eating their lunch. You ever see that photo? Yeah, that's what they came over here to do. The Irish and all that kind of stuff. You ever see Boondock Saints and all that? Yeah, that's what it is. It was never really about color. Nah, there was a whole lot of slaves. Because you weren't party to the Constitution and they wooed you over here and lured you over here to come and work the plantation. As workers, not as benefactors or beneficiaries. The beneficiaries are their progeny, their children. If you go and establish a corporation, you're establishing that corporation to feed your family, to grow your wealth and your assets. And you are the president or CEO or founder of that company, aren't you? Right. Your employees are coming to do your bidding so that your pockets get fatter so that you can buy larger houses and cars. Do you get it? Yeah, your employees are not benefactors. Same thing, founding fathers. Wolf Robinson said, bingo. All right, I love it. You're feeling it. Wolf Robinson, and they, by their ignorance, will take the benefit. Yes. All right, so check it. This is gonna get good. We're getting ready. We're getting ready. I don't know why I'm drinking this. I don't usually drink these. It's a special night, I guess. Sugar. All right. So, anyways, and found the latter precluded to African Americans because of whom the court believed the founders meant to include in the original Constitution. Look, Native Americans, on the other hand, were considered free and independent residents of North America at the time of the founding. So they could be federal citizens of the United States. Okay. There's a whole lot to unpack in that. There's a whole lot, but we would be here all night. I'm not even going to do that. We'll do a part 2 or something about Native Americans. Okay. I just contend that there's a difference between American Native and Native American. One's a legal title and label, and the other one is in the de jure. I'll leave you with that. And then, I'll come back and prove that to you later. We'll do some more forensic study. You guys like this type of teaching style? You like going through history and stuff? We can do more of that. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Put it in the comment section. All right. Wolf says, so one might think that the bloodline is still applying what is theirs. So one might think that the bloodline is still applying what is theirs. The bloodline might, okay. Unpack that for me. Break it down. I think I know what you're saying, but unpack that for me. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Wolf? If you want to jump on here, I can put the link in the chat. If you want to talk, you can feel free. Let me know if you want to. So anyways, going back. So as this applied to Dred Scott, he could not sue for his freedom. from his time spent in the, at the time, federal territory of Wisconsin, because as the court interpreted the Constitution, African Americans could simply not become federal citizens. Okay. However, as horrifying as this opinion is for Scott, he fortunately eventually became a freeman when Emerson's widow had a change of heart after marrying an abolitionist. All right. The aftermath of this case is seen to have inflamed the tensions between abolitionists and Southerners. Previously, the Missouri Compromise tenuously kept the nation together by keeping federal territories north of Missouri freed. However, blase. It's all hogwash. All right. So let me just unpack this for you. Okay, Wolf, I do see that. Give me one moment. I'll get you in. Okay, give me a minute. Let's see. Get you in. Hold on. All right, copy that. One moment. And I'll put the link there. All right, there you go, Wolf. You are invited on. Once your picture shows up, I'll know it's you and I'll get you on, okay? All right, so let me just unpack where I'm going with this, okay? So there was two Black Indian wars, Seminal War, Gullah Wars, okay? I should not even use the term Indian because that's not correct. So the Seminole War 1 and 2, right? 1835, 1842. Then while that's going on, they're wreaking havoc. They're defeating the U.S. military. The Rangers tried to jump in and get some too. The government of Oklahoma is trying to get at them, but lo and behold, they stand their ground. They're defeating everybody, and can't nobody mess with them. Then their so-called comrades ditch them and leave them and go back to Oklahoma. Like, we out of here. We don't want to fight no more. You're by yourself, right? The Indians. Okay. So then 2 years after our last date there, 1855, this is going on. Dred Scott. And Dred Scott is essentially saying, hey, man, I'm cool. I'm free. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in the Midwest, whatever. Blase, let me do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And the lady won't let him go, or the executor of the estate won't let him go, won't let him be free and what have you. So then he sues in the federal court, right? And the federal court says, you don't have any rights to sue. You're not a United States citizen. Sorry, try again, right? And so now that's where we're at in 1857. Now, what I'm contending is, while the Seminole War is going on, while Dred Scott is going on, and the tension is picking up and heating up, then you have the breakout of the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. You see the chronological order of events and the timelines, how it builds up, and then all of a sudden there's a Civil War. And they told you that the Civil War was the North against the South. This is where we're going to leave off. I'm going to get Wolf on in here and we'll get to chatting. It's going to get exciting. Please stay with me. We're going to pick up right there, okay, at the Civil War. All right, let me get Wolf on in here. All right, Wolf, what's going on, man? Welcome. Hey, welcome on in. Welcome. Been a long time. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it's been a few weeks, right? So what I was saying was, if their progeny and their generation still owns everything, it's not been changed for them. Much like everyone in politics, right? If they've taken an oath, they're either an attorney themselves or they're a family member of an attorney. In fact, what wasn't it? Giuliani's daughter married that police officer, and he was like, "No, you're not going to date that. You need to become an attorney." So now he's an attorney. So their family lineage it's never changed for them. It's not for us. The United States Constitution and its foundation.
Absolutely, 100. That's the way it's looking. It's looking just like that. What do y'all have to say? Y'all sitting out there, you got any comments, questions, anything like that? Any opinions on this matter? Did you know this? Did you know that the Constitution was never really intended for anyone but the progeny of the founding fathers and what have you? Their aristocracy, the titles of nobility, a certain class. All right. Go ahead, Wolf. You had anything?
No. That was all it. I mean, I could add to my grandmother is from the Cherokee Federation. So part of my youth, I grew up on a reservation for a long time, and there had always been a conflict because if you've never been on a reservation, it can be incredibly poor if they don't have a means of making an income or equity, right? A lot of them want the benefits though as U.S. citizens, but they're not allowed to get it due to the contracts. So a lot of outsiders, there's a lot of conflicts of interest, I suppose, like dualities that are within the res. We see this every time that there's spokespeople talking about, oh, we're not getting this, we're not getting that, but it's all a part of their accords and how they work it all out. So in relation to this, in the contracts with the Apaches and the Comanches, I believe you'd mentioned,
Yep.
They had used them as proxy soldiers, no different than the United States uses Afghanistan and, well, ISIS and Al Qaeda. I spent 10 years in the United States Army, and we've been supplying the weapons ever since. Since '78.
Yep.
My stepfather's retired Navy SEAL Fire Team 2. He personally says he's met Bin Laden and trained him in '78.
Yep.
So this is an ongoing thing that the United States has always done, or back to Britain, even in its history.
Yep. Absolutely. I was in the military myself, and yeah, I remember I was shocked to see some of the Iranians, and especially during the time that I was in, because I think it was Operation Shield, that Desert Shield or something that was going on when I was back in 1986, or no, not 1986. What was it? 1990, 94, 95, 96, around in that time. Okay. So yeah, I was pretty amazed to see them coming in. It's pretty intimidating because it's like, wait, why are we being trained to fight against people that look like this? And then they're right here, training right next to us. So it kind of threw me back, I was about 18 years old, and it was kind of weird. I'm like, something's wrong here. Like, they didn't even have our uniform on. They didn't even have our uniform on. They had their, like the ones that we're fighting against, they had their uniform on.
Right. Yeah, it's really disheartening when you've drank the Kool-Aid for so long and then you realize what's going on here.
Right.
But again, it was never meant for us. We've made presumptions for so long that this is ours. Right. We're entitled to these things. And, that's just not the reality of it is. Now it's just going to take years. Well, I presume years to just undo the bullshit. Just get yourself on the right track.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's why I'm doing the research that I'm doing. And let me get back to it though. Stick around. Stick on there. Let me get back to it here. Let me see if I can do this here. Hopefully everybody can see it. All right, so check it out. So remember, I said we're going to pick up at the Civil War. Okay, I contend, and I'll build my case on this, and we'll do part 2, part 3, whatever needs to be done. Okay, hopefully you'll be more engaged in this discussion, what have you. I contend that due to this Gullah War, Black War, whatever you want to call it, and Dred Scott, the climate of the whole nation, okay, was boiling, was coming to a boiling point. And obviously, okay, in 1861, just 4 years after the Dred Scott decision and what have you, then comes the Civil War. Now, what is the Civil War allegedly? The North against the South. And what is it? The North is allegedly trying to say slavery is bad. You should not have it. End it. We're going to fight for, those who are enslaved. But I contend maybe that's not what happened. Maybe that's not what happened. What if, where was the majority of slaves? Where were the majority of slaves? In the South, right? Mm-hmm. So now, if you have slaves in the South and they are revolting, such as the history is incontrovertibly saying or stating, right? These people are tired of being enslaved. They are starting to revolt and fight back. And what does it say? It says that as they were fighting back, they feared for their plantations. What were the plantations? That was the crop, the cash crop. That's how the whole freaking place made money, the commerce, the trade, right?
Right.
So if these so-called slaves, these African Americans who they're trying to steal their, they're trying to manipulate their identities and hide them and obfuscate them, right? Even trying to say that, well, they mixed with the Indians and blah. Nah. You clearly saw that it said that the Indians left and they stayed and fought. I digress. But anyways, look. So here comes the Civil War. Now, what if the North said, we are noticing that the Seminoles, the black Seminole, the black Gullahs are encroaching, are moving towards our area. Remember, they're now in Oklahoma and they're working their way, making strongholds and what have you. And now you got Dred Scott in Wisconsin in the middle of the country. And you got these probably converging. That's my opinion. And I think I'm going to be able to prove that shortly. But anyways, so what you see is not only, are they afraid that remember, they kicked them out and remember, what did it say? I don't want to misquote it. What did it say? It said they forced them out. Where was that at? Because they thought that they would wreak havoc right here on the southern plantations. So they were exiled out of the South for fear that they would damage their crops and take over their territory. And that would grind it all to a halt. Right? Okay, so then look, they were forcibly in 1842 removed by the military, by the army. And they took them all the way into the territory known as Oklahoma today. Now, where is Oklahoma? Anybody?
Definitely not the South.
Where's Oklahoma? Let's see. Where's Oklahoma?
Midwest, right?
I think isn't that considered like the Bible Belt area or something? I'm not positive. Where is Oklahoma? Let's see if I can get this. Okay. All right, so it's a little south still.
Yeah, right above Texas.
Yeah, so where did it say they came from? It said they came from Florida? Is that what it said? Florida? Right? That's where the Seminal Wars and all that, Florida?
I don't remember. You might have been.
Well, yeah, that's what. Here, let's look. Yeah, the Seminole, Florida. Yeah. So they were working their way northwest.
So Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas to Oklahoma.
Yeah, they were working their way northwest. So you can see that these people, in the north are like, wait a minute, these slaves are working their way northwest and they're taking over territory. The U.S. military can't stop them. And then they put together and marshaled and armed all these rangers to try to stop them. And they couldn't do it. Do you see what's happening? Now take into account again that the Indians said, we're out of here. And left them. And they still holding it down. So what does that tell you? That they were going to keep making their way north. And so now, if you can imagine, let me get my screen corrected here. If you can imagine, the people in the north, what do you think they're hearing? What do you think the people in the north are hearing?
Oh, probably that there's going, what's going on down there, encouraging others to join their cause and aid, most likely. Disruption.
Yeah, don't you think that remember how, they used to chant that the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. They used to scare the crap out of people.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
All to strike fear in the people to lower their vibration so that they have fear. And now they will call out for more government power. Come on, help us, government, help us, right?
Yeah.
So can you imagine what's happening here in the North? They're hearing sounds that the military is being defeated by these folks that are coming, these black Seminoles, these Gullah.
Right.
So wouldn't you think that these people are probably sending a message, a telegram or whatever, Pony Express, to the government saying, hey, what is going on? How is the military not able to stop these people? You better do something, or we will have to get our military on the North here together to come and meet this threat. We don't even know what we're facing. You guys in the South, because of your slavery, you are the cause of this, and now they're going to come and wreak havoc all over the North. You see what I'm saying?
I hear it.
So now look, now, in light of that, now look at what's going on. Oh, you can't see. Hold on. Where's that at? Excuse me, one moment. See if I can get this right. There we go. Now look at this from that vantage point. Now look at the Civil War coming on the heels of all this disruption, all of this guerrilla warfare, they called it, right? So the Civil War comes, and what is the Civil War? Supposedly a battle between the North and the South. Why? Because the South is saying what? We're not getting rid of our slaves. And the North says, the hell you're not. These people are killers. You either do it or we're going to fight with them against you. Make sense?
That's definitely not the story you're told in high school.
But I'm just saying, look at the preponderance of evidence that I've even laid out. I haven't even done an in-depth research study yet. Just look at what they're saying, though. The Army, the U.S. Army, who's supposed to be protecting the United States and its agenda, they gave up and forced them to the Northwest. Said, go on. We'll give you a free pass. Get on out of here. Right? So what does that make the North people say? Oh, the heck you did. This is your guys' issue. You guys had slavery. We ain't even got slavery out here like that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Now look, we left off at 1855. Now they sent in the Texas Army Ranger, or the Texas Rangers, right? They rode into Mexico to destroy the Seminole settlement, but the blacks and Indians stopped them and forced them back into the U.S. Not even the Rangers could stop them. So now, what else do they have left? The United States Army can't stop them. The Texas Rangers can't stop them. The Oklahoma government can't stop them. What else do you have? Can you kind of see the Napoleon Bonaparte type setup here? Can you see like a new empire about to take over this grand experiment known as the United States?
Yeah, definitely could.
Oh, what's going to stop them? They're the U.S. Everybody's gone. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have to do? What does government always do?
Fear-mongering, psyops.
They take you to war. And there is your Civil War. And the Civil War, because they had no choice. Not Benjamin Franklin, excuse me. Abraham Lincoln, he's accredited with abolishing slavery, the Emancipation Proclamation, all that is hogwash in accordance with my research. In accordance with my research, he had no choice.
Hey, on a side note, I had a quick question. Wasn't Abraham Lincoln himself mixed?
Well,
I've read a lot that he is not Caucasian, is what people think he is.
Yeah, allegedly he was a brown man. Yeah, allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly, it's a spoof on the penny being copper.
Right, yeah, being 1 cent. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but the fact of the matter is, I would not doubt it, because just like they say, men in the presidency are set up to be there. They pick certain ones depending, like Obama. They pick you during a certain point. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they elect a black or brown skinned man during this time to calm everyone down like they did Obama?
Right. Well, like you said, it's commerce, and These are all people of commerce. They buy. So give them what they want. This is what they want. Pretty easy solution.
Right. And even more diabolical and more scheme, more systematic. But let's just examine this. Excuse me. One moment. I'll get this right. I'm trying to learn these buttons. All right. So the U.S. Look. Okay. So we made it to 1850. Okay. So they pushed the Texas Rangers back. All right. The Indians soon returned to Oklahoma. So the Indians left. Seminoles stayed, remained in Mexico. Right. They even in Mexico. Oh boy, fighting constantly to protect their settlement from the marauding Comanche and Apache Indians. In 1870, we are fast forwarding. So we're going to pick up at 1870, but I need to fill you in on these dates, why they're so significant. Okay, I need to fill you in. Let me get the board here. All right, here we go. How much time have we been on here? 1 hour and 29. Okay. All right, so you can see. Can you see there? Let me get the board up. Where's the whiteboard? Oh, that's what it is. One moment. That's not it either. Come on. All right. Can you see this whiteboard?
Yeah, I can see it.
Can you see the words on there?
Yep, 1865, the 13th, and the 68, 14th.
Okay, very good. So we're 1855. We know what happened. They kicking butt. Dred Scott. Climate's hot. Whatever. North is saying, y'all better stop this. Otherwise, we're gonna have issues. We're gonna come and fight and help these Seminole Black people against you because you're the cause of it. You were the one that encouraged and wanted to promote slavery, work these people from all different countries and what have you on your plantation so that you can profit and participate in unjust enrichment. So, bad on you. So then the North is, and even probably recruiting some of these, I would not doubt, some of the blacks to fight against the South, right? And so now the Civil War is in full-fledged. It goes from 1861 to 1865. Now, all of a sudden, notice the Civil War goes from 1861 to 1865. Because what do we know happens in 1865?
13th Amendment, slavery abolishment.
Amendment. Wouldn't you know it? And let's look at, do we need to look at, most people know that this is allegedly abolishment of slavery. And let me just say this. I seem to be getting conflicting dates. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Watch this. Oh, you know they're going to be trying to hide this. You already know it. So we should not be surprised. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up here. I got to get these buttons correct. All right, can you see this here? 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It says the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, right? The amendment was passed by Congress on January 31st. Good day. 1865. You see it? But look over here. Constitution of the United States. Oh, 1780. Okay, I get it. But I was listening to I think it was Bad Wolf, and he had a different date, and I had called him and asked him, I'm like, where'd you find that date? Because I'm seeing 1865. But I digress. We're not going to go there for right now. But you see it right here, 1865. Okay, so it's the abolishment of slavery. All right. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, let me get back to this board here. Forgive me, y'all. I got a lot of buttons I'm pushing here. All right. So here it is. Abolishment of slavery. Okay. So Seminal War, kicking butt, knocking everybody dead. Dred Scott, climate's hot. Okay. They're going towards the North. The North is saying, heck no, you're sending all these murderers up here to kill us. South, it's your problem. We're coming, and now it's a civil war. Bow. So the whole country, right? So now 1865 comes along. The government has no choice because, as I said, the North is probably lobbying to the government or demanding that they do something to stop this onslaught because Napoleon Bonaparte's about to create an empire here, and all of us are going to be slaves, right? So, lo and behold, 1865, they enacted the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery. So guess what? The South is not happy, are they? Because if you abolish slavery, who's going to work the plantations?
Nobody. You got to pay people.
And that ain't happening because you don't have a crop, right? So you're running a deficit because you're probably importing more than you're exporting now because nobody's there to work the plantation. At least that's the threat, correct?
Right.
Okay. So guess what? If you take away my slaves, we all don't eat. So government, you better come up with another plan, and you better come up with another plan lickety split.
Thus the 14th Amendment.
Thus the 14th Amendment. And guess what? Only my research pointed this out. Watch this. Guess how long it took for them to come up with the 14th Amendment? 6 months. 6 or 7 months. They were in the back room like, dude, we need a 14th Amendment. We need something. Our plantations are shut down. You let the slaves go. That was the biggest mistake you could ever have. Now, that just shows you how bad things were, how bad they were about to take over the United States, America, and this land. They were so powerful that they had no choice but to abolish slavery. And when they did, they didn't even think about the repercussions, which was that the plantations would stop operating, they would lose their crops, and there would be no money. It would be a trade deficit. And so then they had no choice but to enact what's known as the 14th Amendment. Now ask yourself a question. What is that about? I'll let Wolf go ahead and give us what the 14th Amendment is about, or what you got, whatever comments you want to make.
All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So now you all are birthed as corporations. And let's not forget the clause in the 13th Amendment, duly convicted of a crime, you're an indentured servant. So they got both sides covered by that way in those clauses to their charter, corporate charter.
All right. I guess this is history 101. We doing this again. We going back, and I'm going to correct what your teacher taught you. What were those books called? Those public school books? Who were the authors of those? Those writers, the Forstman, or what were they? The government books. I forgot those companies that everybody had. Macmillan, or what was it? McGraw, something. That's the public school system. But remember, public means government.
It does. Yep.
So whenever you have something public, that's government. So if it's a public school, it's a government school. If it's a government school, you think the government's going to go against its best interest? No. They're going to teach in accordance with their interest. And that's why you don't learn about things like the Gullah War, the Black Seminoles. You don't learn the chronological order and use rational analysis to break that stuff down. They wreaked havoc in the United States, defeating the military, the Texas Rangers, the Oklahoma government, Apache and Comanche Indians, defeated them all. There was nobody left. So they had to take you to war. And they did in 1861, it said? Civil War.
For 4 years, yeah, 61 through 65, right?
Yeah, and that was not what they told you it was. I can guarantee it.
No, it's always been a debate. I see it online all the time, especially with the hypertension about ethnic and melanin count. People are always arguing that stuff. Always trying to create, argument, polemics.
Yep. Bossed Up said his mom was black and Indian as well. Talking about Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
See? So I believe they just set somebody up, a fall man or what have you. That's what the presidents are. They're working in an official capacity. A president is a corporate title. And we know that the United States is a federal corporation, right? USC 28 USC 3002, 15A. Yeah. And so let me just give you this, or should I? Hopefully y'all have gotten the book, okay? Because I'm breaking this stuff down. If you have not gotten your copy of the book, let me give you some information on that before we go on. Let's see here. So if you are interested, which you should be, great way to support. So there's Knowledge Wealth, all right? -media.square.site. That's a website you can go for, all the information that you're getting now. I'm giving it to you. For a donation, you can have it. All right. So if you're interested in that, that's where you can go. And here's the email if you ever want to get in contact with me, or if you have a question or a debate even. I would like somebody, why can't we have a friendly debate sometimes? Anybody got anything? knowledgewealth4u@gmail.com. All right. Or if anybody, you might be arguing with somebody on a consistent basis who's basically just always shooting you down and saying that you're a conspiracy theorist. Challenge them to come on Knowledge Well. Let's have a discussion. Why not? Right? Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be.
Yeah, let's do that. Send them my way.
On a side note, I'd like to bring the creator of Jack Daniels. A lot of people don't realize, it was a slave that worked with alleged owner of said slave, and the family has kept it quiet all this time.
Yeah,
people don't realize that.
Most of those inventions, yeah, they
have the distillery, but he had the recipe. So
that's right.
My friend, we got in a big argument about that, and we were like, "Wow, I'm going to the history books." So I said it to him, and he thought I was one of those that jumped on like the whole race train. I'm like, really? I'm not like that. And he goes, yeah, well, everybody's promoting these things.
Yeah, it's an excuse, okay? It's an excuse. It's just like religion and all that kind of thing. Whenever, we don't know or don't have an answer, we rely on mythologies and man-made ideals and principles. It's what we default to. It's the human condition, right? Only those that are truly aspiring to uncover truth, we choose not to rely on those type of things, right? Natural law makes more sense. All right. With that being said, we'll be right back. Let's take a commercial. Let's take a drink. We'll be right back for our last segment. All right. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Stay here.
All right.
Welcome to Knowledge Well Media. The information provided on this platform does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all information, content, and materials available on this platform are for general information purposes only. Information on this platform may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or other information. This platform contains links to other third-party platforms and sites. Such links are only for the convenience of the reader, user, or browser. Knowledge Well Media, its subsidiaries, and its members do not recommend or endorse the contents of the third-party platforms. Users of this platform should contact their attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal matter. No party, user, or browser of this platform should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this platform without first seeking legal advice from counsel in the relevant jurisdiction. Only your individual attorney can provide assurances that the information contained herein and your interpretation of it is applicable or appropriate to your particular situation. Use of and access to this platform or any of the links or resources contained within this platform do not create an attorney-client relationship between the reader, user, or browser and platform authors, contributors, contributing law firms, or associative members and their respective employers. The views expressed at or through this platform are those of the presenting host in their representative capacity only, not those of the individual private man or woman who is separate and distinct. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this platform is hereby expressly disclaimed. The content in this session is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. Your participation hereafter constitutes your voluntary and intentional consent to and understanding of this disclaimer and notice. If interested, you may obtain a video copy of this session. The minimum donation to do so is $25. Simply submit your video request to knowledgewell4u@gmail.com. State the date and time of the desired session, and submit the minimum donation, $25, to our Cash App. That's $, capital A for American, capital C for Consulate. The turnaround time is usually 24 hours. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Start your journey today by liking, subscribing, and sharing our YouTube channel, Knowledge Well Media, or by going to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site and perusing over the available content and information. Also by submitting your email at the bottom of the Square site page in the Stay in the Loop section to receive priority information, specials, and other insider details. Or by signing up for a 1-hour consultation to tailor your specific educational needs in beginning your journey. You may do so at the aforementioned Square site, once again at knowledgewell-media.square.site. Here are a few other items in demand on our Square site. The Person Defined series, a 9-part video lecture series, comprehensively outlining the scheme to artfully deceive mankind into trading away his birthright, his natural liberties, and inherent rights. Pre-orders for The Yellow Bricks of Emerald, the first edition, offered presently as an ebook only. This book comprehensively uncovers the legal schemes, past, present, and future, of the elite powers and the U.S., subjecting American citizens to servitude and allegiance due to their own ignorance. The Knowledge Well Video Lecture Series Trust Course, a comprehensive lecture series educating on the history, effects, and administration of the wealth-preserving, asset-protecting, private commercial entity known as a trust. Plus, we have our very own template and instructions to help you set up yours. And, coming soon, our apparel and product store for all things Knowledge Well, including shirts, hats, jackets, cups, bumper stickers, and more. For all this and much, much more, as well as for any questions or comments, email to knowledgewell4u@gmail.com or go to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site. And now, you've been made free. What are you going to do with it?
All right. We are back. I'm on with Wolf, and it is December the 6th, 2021. Can you believe it? We're at the end of the year already.
What do you think it's going to be for next year?
What's that?
What do you think next year is going to be like?
2022. So that 2022. What does 2 represent? Anybody know?
Oh no,
Let's see. I'm gonna type it in. What does 2 represent? Since they do everything by numbers, right?
That's true. They do. They're very. What do you call it?
It says associated to harmony, balance, consideration, and love. So I guess we're going to go through what they call this winter, the dark winter.
Mm.
Yeah. And so then in 2022, they're probably going to let us up a little bit. We're going to be so happy to be from underneath all of this bondage and stuff like that they're probably the government's going to roll out with roses and we're going to be so happy to see government. Thank you for saving us. Is that when is our next election year? Is that 2024?
24, yeah, 24. So 2 years.
All right. That's about right. That's about right. Whoever comes in is going to come in as a savior. That's about right. All right, we'll see who that is. But anyways, thanks again, Will, for joining me. We're discussing a whole lot of different things, right? But the black Seminoles, what they call black Seminoles, what some are calling the Gullahs. In fact, I've heard that the Gullah Geechee, someone I used to converse with, was telling me they still exist down south.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So is the Seminoles and the Galas, are they related to what people would call themselves as Moor?
I don't believe so. I don't believe
so. Or
so.
those two separate things? Because I've heard conflicting things that Moors do exist here within North America, like the Galas and Seminoles, and the so-called black, right? But there's been conflict between what they are and what they're not, whether the title is proper.
Right. Of course. And with the Hebrew Israelite movement and the camps and things like that are claiming to be like the true Jews of the Bible and what have you. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. But one thing's for certain is that the truth is coming to the surface. Okay. And full disclosure, I particularly my study has led me to try to defer or stay away from titles. Title, okay, I think I did this already. The video, a couple of videos back, I did a lecture on this. The identity factor is the issue that causes governments to be a necessity. And of course, you know what I teach as far as government being the control of the mind. It's a political, scientific experiment to learn what basically makes people tick. Okay? And so when you take on an identity, then there is cause to have a government, because what you're doing is you're basically saying, I'm blue, and you're yellow. And so, can you see that? Oh, I'm blue and you're yellow. So I'm different, either better or less than you. And so now you've identified something. And so now you're looking at each other as not equal, not in necessarily equality. You're looking to see if you can be better than or whatever, or dominate over. Okay, that's where the necessity for government comes in, because now you need to regulate and make equality between both sides. However, if you did not focus so much on the identity issue, who issues identifications and says and deems it's necessary to have? That's government that does that. Okay, because then what they can do is say, okay, you're a Native American, so therefore you belong on the plantation. Okay, what are you? Oh, you identify as black? Okay, you over there, you're going to be below the poverty line for most of your existence here. Okay, and I'm Italian. Okay, so you're going to be a gangster. What are you? You see what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Identity is what does it to us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we should not appreciate each other's differences, but we should do that just like you appreciate a different flower from one flower from the next.
Right.
We're not trying to say, well, the rose looks like this and the carnation looks like this. I think this one should have a title of nobility and that one should be a slave. You're not wasting your time doing that. You're just appreciating the differences as they stand in the different cultures and what have you, but you're not trying to identify them so you can put them in a particular box. Does that make sense, Will?
No, 100%. Yeah, I believe that all the way through.
Right. That's where I contend we fall into issues, and that's where government it can take the occasion now to say, well, you guys can't get along, so now we need to step in, otherwise you'll scorch the earth. You need a father, somebody to arbitrate or mediate between you, because the Indians can't get along with the whites and the blacks can't get along with you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The Hatfields versus the McCoys.
There you go. All right. Or keeping up with the Joneses, right? All right. So let's close this out. I want to make sure that we talk about that 14th Amendment. I'll give you first dibs on that, what you know about it, if you wanted to say something about it.
Well, I mean, the 14th Amendment seems pretty straightforward. It's more or less the 13th Amendment that brings allegedly that was not the original 13th Amendment that, in regards to abolishment of slavery and indentured servitude, other than being duly convicted of a crime. But it seems right here it's quite clear. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state, that's with a capital S, wherein they reside. Reside, you got res right there, res, a thing of value. It's there for all to see if you just read it and you know what you're reading. They offer benefits and liberty and property that is without due process of law, like can't be taken away as a state. Deprive any person, that is, of life and liberty.
Very good. Very good. So let's just go over this real fast before we get off of here. I'll share some of the studies and research that I've done. I think I may have already done this. If not, I know I intend to do a pretty intense dental flossing, if you will, on the history. But it says, look at forensic study. This is what I'm trying to educate and teach people to do. Okay. Let's not just blow past the words. Okay. So look at all persons. Don't we have a problem right there already?
Correct. All corporations, all entities.
Right.
Business to business with their charters.
Yeah. Remember what happened here. 1865, they abolished slavery. Now, according to my historical chronological order, we can probably deduce why. They were in trouble. And they had emptied off the plantation and slaves were, we free? We out of here.
Right. Toodles.
Yeah. And now there's nobody to work the plantation. So then there's no crop and there's no trade and what have you, right? So then 6 to 7 months, they said, meet in the back door. Hey, we got to talk about this. We got to talk this through because they're taking over the whole country and we have no product, right? And so look, they said, okay, fine, we'll enact the 14th Amendment. Okay, the 14th Amendment, what is it going to do? All persons born or naturalized in the United States. What's wrong with this scenario? First of all, what is a person? Okay, we know that a person is a corporation and a trust. It's either a legal or commercial entity. Just to clean it all up, to package it right. A legal or a commercial entity. Okay? Now, born is another issue because we don't do enough research. We don't look at the etymology of the word and the terms that are used. Remember, these are terms meaning or suggesting parts or elements of a contract. So they don't mean what they would normally mean in everyday conventional life. That's why you have to research each of these words. Who do you think wrote this? Attorneys.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it does not take on the meaning, the conventional meaning that you think you know. So I'm gonna prove it. Probably not tonight because we're rounding the corner in 2 hours. But we will do more on this. But listen, I'm gonna just give it to you like this and you can do your research. Persons are legal or commercial entities. Why do we know this? We know this because this is all about citizenship.
Right.
Citizenship is either political or civil rights. Now, I know I've done that one. Okay? The federal corporation that you have taken citizenship in is in of itself a federal corporation, suggesting that it is a artificial person. So if the place in which you are a citizen is an artificial entity, that means every citizen within it has to be artificial.
Yeah.
You picking up what I'm putting down? So let's go back over this. All fictitious persons born. Now, what is the etymology of the word born? Let me show you. Watch this. I'm glad you asked. Watch this. Watch this. This is why we are defeated. Because as the great scripture says, my people are destroyed for what they do not know. The lack of knowledge. You don't know where the ledge is, therefore you walk off to your death every single time. Watch this. Because you did not bother to just look up this simple word in the etymology, look where it came from and the implications that are brought by this word. Watch this. Watch how powerful this is. Born, adjective, Old English borin, alternative past participle of bearing. See, bear. So you know we got to go there because they're directing us to go there. Follow the ladder of logic. Follow the yellow brick road. In modern use, the connection, look how they spelled connection, with bear is no longer felt. The phrase to be born, watch this, has become virtually an intransitive verb. Watch this. Distinction between born and born. And I'm not talking about Jason Bourne. Watch this. Is 17th century from early 14th century as, look, listen, possessing from birth the character or quality described. That's what born is. It's not birth. It's describing something that you possessed when you are birthed. It's a character or quality, like born poet, born loser. See, it's a character that is parallel with you when at your birth. Does that sound familiar? Huh? You ever heard of a straw man?
Right.
It's born. It's a born characteristic that you take on at your birth. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
What was it? Hold on. What was that word with the X you had on there? What was it? Connection.
Yeah, connection.
That one. I've never seen that spelled that way.
Oh yeah, I try to turn everybody on to this etymology, etymon online. You got to get, this is where you get it.
Is that like connexus, like a variation of connection, connexus?
Well, you're looking at the where words and terms and phrases came from. So it's going to take you back to the 14th century, when they created it.
Right. Even the regular Google here says a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is linked or associated with something else.
Yes.
And it goes on to like a bunch of other variations.
Right. But let's get back. Watch this. Remember, when the 14th Amendment, now we know why does it keep doing that? All persons born or naturalized in the United States. So listen, this is something that is attached to a United States citizen. Look how the verbiage is. All persons born or with the characteristic or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. You take on a characteristic, a new entity is laid over top. A mask is put over the de jure. And when you take on that mask, or some people might know the term mark, as in mark of the beast. When you take on that mark, that characteristic, that's what makes you a United States citizen. So what is the characteristic that you take on? Listen. Well, I just gave it to everybody right there.
Right.
I just gave it to you. So this is what it's all about, the 14th Amendment. Because they got rid of slavery. And the thing was, remember, Dred Scott. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
They said he's not a citizen because he is not a federal citizen. He is not a party to the contract, the Constitution. He's not. But we can make him one. And here's how we can do it. Since we let all the slaves go, all the hired help go, we need to make something that can convert everybody into a United States citizen. And the way to do that is to give everyone a born characteristic at birth. We need to mark every one with a systematic mark. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Wolf, and I'll let you close us out because I just dropped a huge one. And that information there is covered in the book, The Yellow Bricks of Emerald. You might want to get that book. I know I keep pushing it, but I'm trying to educate you here.
I got it. You know, I got it. But yeah, that's even just reading their own words. They leave it up to you to choose to do so. Yeah, thus they've created, but it's allowed you to step into it voluntarily, pledging yourself. It's what people do every single day, every man, every woman, and with their offspring. They think they have to do something, but no one's ever told them that other than friends and family that they too were told the same thing. And it's become a custom, and the United States always looks to custom. This includes biblically. In fact, I think it was 83 that it was so ratified that customs of the Bible were paramount within the legal. I believe that's the year. But it's all voluntary, pledging.
That's it.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, I guess the biggest thing would be being able to combat their presumptions now and assumptions and tacit agreements. That's really where we need to get smart as. Like, okay, we know you presume. We know the 12 presumptions of law. All right, how do I go ahead and shed that off without just saying, well, show me the contract? Because then they just look at you like, man.
Yeah. Well, I've given it to people many times. I know people haven't really paid attention. Maybe they didn't take it serious, but it's time to take it serious because that national ID is coming.
Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.
It's coming. You better pay attention. Hey, JURIS is trying to put you up on game, but I am not getting the people like that should be here.
Are they still trying to make statehood of the United States as well?
What's that?
Are they still trying to give statehood to the United States? I had heard Biden speaking about that. They're shooting for statehood for, I don't know. That doesn't even make any sense to me that they would do something like that because it would seem null and void the charter to do such a thing. But
explain.
Well, it's contracted. I mean, it'd have to be amended. The contract, the charter, the Constitution. It sets of rules, laws, and operations, including ecclesiastical laws, everything to do with why the state operates, how it operates, and its A through Z's. If it gave itself statehood, the 10 miles squared. I mean, they do have it mapped out and suggested, but I haven't heard anything further. That's why I was shooting it out, seeing if you had heard it, considering the federal IDs are. Yeah, they're already been here. They're just waiting to acclimate society. Yeah. Same with transportation, the same rigmarole they always do. It's actually in the Army, when I was getting out, they were calling it mastering the human domain.
Yeah.
I personally was part of a group that was ready to work with FEMA. We didn't call them concentration camps, but we did have one for inmate civilian work program to put United States citizens to fucking work. Yep. And if you didn't work, there'd be consequences.
Yep.
And people don't believe me. I'm like, I had the manual.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and before I go into that, I just want to remind everybody, I've showed everybody this multiple times. Oh,
that's right. Expatriation.
Look at what they're telling you here. In light of what you just learned now about the 14th Amendment, look what they're saying. Revised Statute, Section 1999, right? Provided that whereas the right of expatriation is a natural and inherent right of all people, not persons, not citizens, perhaps, or per se, like United States citizens, but people. Look, indispensable to the enjoyment of the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas in the recognition of this principle, this government, meaning the United States, because we're at the United States Code, has freely received immigrants from all nations. Who are those immigrants? Right here, it tells you, American citizens. So the U.S. government received into the federal corporation all the American citizens that emigrated away from their nations. That's what they're telling you. And it says when you did that, when you immigrated into the United States, they invested you with rights of citizenship. That's what it's all about. That's what the 14th Amendment is all about. They invested you with something. What is it? Their property. that you were born with at your birth date.
Right.
Birth, born are not one in the same. That's where they got you tricked at, because you don't know, because you don't read legalese.
Right.
So check it out. Oh, go ahead. You got something you want to say?
Oh, me? No. I was just typing up something real quick.
Okay. And look what it says right here. And where it is claimed that such American citizens with their descendants, as you said, Wolf. Yes, your descendants, our foremothers and forefathers made this choice and decision for you. You were simply and merely trafficked.
Correct.
I just did this a little bit ago to show you. You were human trafficked.
Right. Were you not speaking about that not too long ago?
What's that?
Were you not speaking about that like 3 or 4 videos ago about, the United States and its human trafficking? It fits the definitions straight through with anything to do with that.
Yeah, you were human trafficked because it talked about being sold or traded. Okay. In one aspect, it talked about like being taken from your family in exchange for work programs and things like that to work off a debt that your family made. Well, that's exactly what you did. It tells you right here. It says that they defected from their nation. Your foremothers defected from their indigenous nations. And it says that they were vested with rights from that government, the United States government. And what was they were with the rights of citizenship. Citizenship is a right that is granted by the U.S. government. That should let you know that they're not dealing in human beings, because human beings have inalienable, God-given rights, absolute vested rights in natural law. So how can a federal corporation grant you anything?
I can't.
Wake up, people. Wake up. I just gave you remedy.
No, you did. Sure did. That's our last meeting that we had. I'd sat a long time and thought about it, and it all just clicked. It's like, why even worry about it? There's nothing to worry about. It's theirs. It's not you. I mean, you know that it's not you, but you still got that old baggage to shove off about, like, well, it's like, no, create a new one, move on.
Yeah. Well, ignorance is not bliss, and people, we are destroyed for lack of knowledge. It didn't say you're destroyed for lack of military power, did it?
Mm-mm.
It didn't say you're destroyed for not having the most money. What you don't know destroys you. So therefore, you don't have to be destroyed. All you have to do is be in the know.
That's true.
That's why, again, this platform is called Knowledge Well, because this is a well of knowledge. All you got to do is take it, use it, apply it, ask questions, come to class, learn about trusts. That's all you got to do. And I can't even get people to do that. Ain't that amazing? It's all right. I love it.
My wife calls me a preacher. She's like, you're like that Sunday preacher man, because people will be at the gym and, I've actually, spending 18, almost 19 months now studying in legal and law and getting versed as best as I can. People are coming to me, I will pay you, I will do this. And I'm all like, well, even if you did do that, I require you to do the work, because it's only you that's going to be able to do the work. And
That's
people
right.
will run away. They rather spend $5,000-$6,000 for me to write something. I'm like, it's pointless. It's just a document. You have to be able to stand on it. You have to show that you know what you're doing. Right. And people, they don't. They want the benefit, the protection of a government. And I'm like, I'm not the government.
Right.
You don't really want that either. Trust me, you don't.
Right. Yeah.
What's even funny is I've even seen shows. Like, I'll watch some of the shows. Like, you've seen the game thing called Squid Games. Mm. All right. There's a ton of shows online, and I just sit back and laugh at them because they all talk about sinning, and sinning is death, and death is debt, and to your creditors, and the asinine, like all these shows and movies we've watched in the past. They literally They put Easter eggs in the bastards.
Oh yeah.
And now you're just like, I'll be damned. Wife's like, what are you laughing at? I was like, never mind.
Right. It's all they're not hiding it anymore. I contend that I don't know if I've ever said to this particular platform, but the whole 2021, 2020 perfect vision, the years is what I'm referring to. That's not by coincidence. All right, in my opinion. Coronavirus, you know what the corona is? The corona is the light around the sun at an eclipse, right? You put the light out and there's just a ring of light, right?
Right.
But so they started with the coronavirus before it was COVID-19, because they were going to and intended to put the light out. Light is symbolic of knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They were going to in 2020, when you should have perfect vision, they brought along the coronavirus to put the light out, the understanding of man. Remember, you're destroyed by the lack of knowledge, what you know. And so now you can see why they're coming after your constitutional and absolute rights, because you don't know. So you're putting the mask on, you're going along with the whole thing, and we're probably going to get cut off for talking about that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I got you.
Yeah, that's 2020, perfect vision.
When you just said 2020, I was like, oh yeah, it is perfect vision.
Yeah. Perfect sight.
Why are these groups so big about what is it? Like even with the study, if you dig into Hitler's stuff, the guy was looking for the Aryan race. It wasn't even fucking human beings. So all these stupid Nazis, no, you're not, bro. Like, what the fuck? He's so, what is the word? When somebody has like, don't step on a crack, don't walk underneath the ladder. What is that called? Yeah. Why are these people so damn set with superstition? Like even these judges and all the ones I've dealt with, they're so superstitious. I've done it in court multiple times, set of 3. For whatever reason, that fucking number 3, it pisses them off and gets them upset.
Yeah.
They gotta change. You gotta do something different.
Yeah, the reason is because this is all based systematically. All right, so it's a matrix, and you have to stay consistent with it lest it break down. So you have no choice. What you establish the system on, you must keep that going. Okay, that's why they use precedents and all. And actually, I will be doing a research project. While I've been researching, I will be doing another series having to do with the law of equity, the court of equity, the court of law, and the court of equity. There's a lot to unpack in there, talking about the court of exchequer, the chancellery courts, and all that, trust establishment, and all that kind of thing. There's a whole lot to unpack in there, and you'll see kind of the mindset, and even I can reveal to you where the legal practitioners came in, where they came to the forefront and established themselves, branching off from law and establishing the new system of legalities. I'm actually going to be drawing that out for you. I'll show you the facts by their historical record, and you will actually see the spawn or the birth of the legal industry, where it branches off. Okay, and you can do a little homework ahead of time. Look at the Judicature Act of 1870. Look into that. But the courts of equity, courts of law, that goes back basically.
You said 1870?
Yeah, look at the Judicature Act of 1870, and you'll see that was the merger of of law and equity. They merged the two courts. And I think I gave you guys the history, but we're going long. We're at 2 hours.
That's when the moral and the jural sphere, they created the one, right? Is that what you're referring to when they put them together?
Well, they wanted to merge the two, and there's a reason why. If you understand trust law and things.
I'm not there yet.
All right, we're gonna have to do a part 2 because we're going long. We're over 2 hours here, and let's see here. Let me go to the comment section. I will get into that. Is adoption and guardianship legal in this country? Well, adoption is, and guardianship is legal in this country as well. Yes, Ari, they are.
But would it still be considered human trafficking because you're paying for the adoption?
Yeah, I have heard that argument. I mean, if you're just asking generally if adoption is legal in this country, yeah, it is. But legal and lawful are two different things. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And what right do we have as the people to stop our kids from going into the system? You have every right. In fact, right here, I'm going to give you a bullet. No, I'll give you a bomb. Watch this. Write this case law down. If you're going to bring a claim, watch this. Here, verbatim is my words, my notes right here in front of me. A father can state a claim regarding his offspring, okay, but it must be stated in terms of an impermissible interference with family relations. Write that down. If you're going to bring a claim about your offspring, your children, you have to bring it in terms of an impermissible interference with family relations. And here's the case law. Arnold versus Board of Education of Escambia County.
How do you spell that? O-B?
Escambia is E-S-C-A-M-B-I-A. Escambia County. And that's a 1989 case. Now, when we get back together, I hope you will bring me what you learned from that bombshell right there. That's how you have to come. You have to make a claim of your offspring, but it has to be that there was an interference, an impermissible interference with family relations. That's the way you have to do it. And that case law should clear that up for you. Hopefully you do your research and study on that. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here, for sticking in this 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think that's the longest I've gone yet. But I want to thank you, Wolf, for joining me. You're welcome to come back anytime. I will try, because I know that people have been saying they haven't been getting notifications. As you may have saw, I did send out as many emails as I can to try to hip you to the fact that I was going live tonight. I will try to remember to do that again. I ask that anybody that is interested in me providing those notifications, because this type of information, YouTube is obviously, blackballing me and trying to curb, the notifications. People aren't even getting notifications that I am going live. So if you are interested in getting those notifications of when I'm going live to get this information, make sure that you send me an email. I'll put the email up here, because I'm not going to bother people. Okay. This information is too powerful. It does not need to be forced on anybody. Only those that are interested in the education and are actually interested in learning truth need to apply, as it were. Okay. So there's the email, knowledgewell4u@gmail.com. If you want notifications sent to your email, just email me there and let me know. Say something like, I'm interested in notifications for your lives, or something to that effect. Otherwise, I'm not going to send out, because I'm not going to bother people. I'm not going, I don't do unsolicited stuff. Okay. So there's that. All right. Don't forget to go over to the Knowledge Well Square site, where you can get certain videos and lectures and all that kind of stuff. You need to get the Person Defined series. Go there at the knowledgewell-media.square.site. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. So that site right there, look for the Person Defined series and order that, donate, and get that series. It's a 9-part video series that goes over, it breaks it all down as far as what we even talked about, the 14th Amendment, the born versus the birth, the person in law versus the legal persons, artificial persons, and all that kind of stuff. I give you the case law and the sites that you can put in your documentation to prove. Look at the thing that I just showed you as far as the revised statute 1999 that basically told you that you walked over into the federal corporation and they invested you with civil rights as opposed to your natural rights. You traded one for the other. That's why you're in a federal corporation. Nobody made you do it. You're just choosing ignorance over knowledge. I presented it to you. Now you have the case. Now you can fight it. So with that being said, let's see what else I got to remind about. I guess that's it. So I'll give you, if you had any things you want to close out with, we'll go for it.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I guess on a personal note, I haven't forgotten about doing the trust class with you. I have not put it off at all.
Okay.
Just collecting these FRNs has been a pain in the ass. I'm a professional tattoo artist, and a lot of clients are, I don't know, dead, hurting.
Yeah.
So I haven't put that off. I haven't forgotten, and I do have full intention to sit there and follow through with that because I need it.
Yeah.
And I did get your book.
Excellent.
And I'm right now. I'm in the middle of 2 other books. Brian Blum's contract book. I don't know if 7th edition. It's intended for first-year law students, but he literally goes over jurisdiction right out the gate and contract. So
awesome. Yep. Get those studies up. Keep it going. We got to get together. We got to make a round table. We should be sharing with each other and building.
Yeah, and then I also applied recently. Notice of conditional acceptance and an affidavit of truth in regards to that matter. I brought it underneath out of a foreign cause, and I put it into a standard law, common law, or equitable situation. I sent it to the court, and I sent it in private in chambers, and I sent it to the attorney that's trying to contract with me. So I gave 42 points to rebut. All of them have to be rebutted, and then I told the judge on the backside that I will sit there and agree to contract with the state thereof, and as long as it's within a non-foreign case. They are approximately 20 days now. So tomorrow will be 21, which will be a significant time. So I will send a closure notice to the judge in chambers and then him. Then I'm going to send a bill due and owing to the attorney for false and fictitious claims. Well, I'll be titling for services rendered. Well, that's pretty much the only thing new with me.
All right. So I hopefully once you get to your, get that concept going or whatever, and you get some results or the lack thereof, you'll come and share.
Yeah, of course. I'm always here. Got to see what works and sticks.
Yep. Bring that to us. I'm looking for testimonies. If anybody out there has applied anything, whether you learned it here or somewhere else, we're not like that. Bring that over here. Let's discuss that. Let's break it down. Let's see why it worked and why it didn't. Bring that here. Okay. Let's talk about that. All right. That's the kind of platform I want here. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have. It's 7:18. We've been on for 2 hours and 25 minutes. I want to again thank Wolf for joining me here. And now you've been made free. What are you going to do with it? All right. We'll see you soon.
Start your journey today by liking, subscribing, and sharing our YouTube channel, Knowledge Well Media, or by going to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site and perusing over the available content and information. Also by submitting your email at the bottom of the Square site page in the Stay in the Loop section to receive priority information, specials, and other insider details. Or by signing up for a 1-hour consultation to tailor your specific educational needs in beginning your journey. You may do so at the aforementioned Square site, once again at knowledgewell-media.square.site. Here are a few other items in demand on our Square site. The Person Defined series, a 9-part video lecture series, comprehensively outlining the scheme to artfully deceive mankind into trading away his birthright, his natural liberties, and inherent rights. Pre-orders for The Yellow Bricks of Emerald, the first edition, offered presently as an ebook only. This book comprehensively uncovers the legal schemes, past, present, and future, of the elite powers and the U.S., subjecting American citizens to servitude and allegiance due to their own ignorance. The Knowledge Well Video Lecture Series Trust Course, a comprehensive lecture series educating on the history, effects, and administration of the wealth-preserving, asset-protecting, private commercial entity known as a trust. Plus, we have our very own template and instructions to help you set up yours. And coming soon, our apparel and product store for all things Knowledge Well, including shirts, hats, jackets, cups, bumper stickers, and more. For all this and much, much more, as well as for any questions or comments, email to knowledgewell4u@gmail.com or go to our Square site at knowledgewell-media.square.site. And now, you've been made free. What are you going to do with it?
What do I do? What do I do? I'm lost.
Yeah, Dante. In the land of darkness, the flame is king. Can't change the world until you realize it starts with the change in me. No more living amongst the shadows, wandering aimlessly. Cause when you living without knowledge, you live dangerously. And if you can't read by